In this video, we're going to talk about how to design a card class in Java. And before we actually design our card class, I want to go over some solutions that don't involve writing a separate card class that would be similar to something you would do in an introductory programming class. And we'll actually take some of the ideas that we see in that first naive solution and apply them to our card class later. So to be clear, in this video, we're not actually going to design a playing card class yet. We'll do that in the next video. So the requirements for this program are going to be to print out 5 random playing cards. Now your first initial idea for how to do this may be something like this. Pick 2 random numbers in a loop, 1 to 13 for the rank, and then 1 through 4 for the suit. Then use a switch to convert the random number for the suit into an appropriate string, because it would make sense to do something like you've picked a 5 of 2. You want to say you've picked a 4 of clubs or a 9 of spades. And yes, the Jack, Queen, Queen also create a separate issue, as does the Ace, but we'll actually see how to resolve that later in this video. So our first approach, without using object-oriented programming, in a loop we're going to pick 2 random numbers. We'll pick a random number from 1 to 13 for the rank and 1 through 4 for the suit. Now we're going to use a switch to convert the random number for the suit into an appropriate string. So we don't want to print out, you've picked a 7 of 2s. We want to say you've picked out a 7 of clubs, a 4 of diamonds, and so forth. So we'll use a switch to take that number and convert it to a string. And for now, we're going to ignore the strings for the appropriate rank. We'll deal with that later. Once we've done that, we'll print each card, and that'll be our first attempt. So here we have our empty class, and we're going to call this class card no class. So the first thing I need to do is generate a random number. So I'll create a random object called random, and that'll be a new random object. And you'll notice I need to import that, so I'll hover over, it'll import random for me. I also want an int for my rank and for my suit, and I'll want a string for my suit to hold the string representing the suit that was selected. And I'll call that suit string. Now in a loop, and the requirements were to print out 5 random cards. So now I need to choose a random number for the rank. For the rank, it'll be a number from 1 to 13, but remember next int returns a number from 0 up to that int, so 0 to 12, so I need to add 1 in order to get a number from 1 to 13. Same for the suit, except that's a number from 1 to 4. Again, next int 4 gives me a number between 0 and 3 inclusive. I add 1 to make the range 1 to 4. So now I'm going to use a switch statement on the suit. If I have a 1, I'll set suit string to clubs, and then I'll break, and I'll copy that case 4 times for each of the possibilities. So now I've chosen a random number for my card rank, and I've gotten a random string for my suit. So now I can print those out. And I'll print which card this is. I'll add 1 to II because I want to go from 1 to 5. And I put that in parentheses so that it knows not to do string append. This is 2 numbers I want to add together. And then this is going to be a rank of suit string. And I bet it's not going to like that I'm using that non-initialized. So what I'll do is I'll add a default case here. And that makes sure that suit string gets a value no matter what that random number is. So that completes my program. Let's run this. And you can see I get some random cards. And of course, this should be a queen, this should be king, and we'll deal with that next. But you can see we have 5 cards. So problem 1, what if we want a different number of cards? Well, it turns out that's really easy. I can just update this, and this would allow me to do this for any number of cards, from 0 cards to 1,000,000 cards, no trouble. I can make this 500, and when I run this, this will print 500 cards. No problem there. Again, the requirement was 5, but you always want to think about what those future requirements may be. Don't try to think of every possibility your code may ever need to handle, but what you don't want to do is, say, do card 1, card 2, card 3 as individual variables. The loop will help you create as many cards as you need. However, we're not actually creating cards here. Now, another problem we may run into is what if we want to use a different face or a suit? So suppose we're doing rook cards or magic cards or any other type of card. Suppose we have a different way we want to represent those cards. So our second approach, again, not using object-oriented programming yet, we're going to take the original approach we had, and instead of using a switch, we're going to use an array to convert the random numbers to an appropriate string for both rank and suit. So now we'll have our Jack, King, Queen strings as well. So what I can do is I can add an array that has the values for my suits and my rank. And notice the order of these is different, but it doesn't matter. Now, what this random number is will be an index into this array. So for suits, if I have a 1, it'll be hearts, 2, it'll be spades, and so forth. For the ranks, notice now it gives me a string representing what that card is. Now, in this case, I don't allow these random numbers to ever be 0, so I wouldn't have no suit and a joker or that sort of thing. I just left those in there for completeness, and maybe I would want to use that later on. So we can simplify this code quite a bit now, where instead of by saying rank, we can say ranks of rank and suits of suit. And that will take this random number and give us an index into this array. So when I run this, you can see now I have a much cleaner output. So we know now how to get output for our cards, but we still have a problem. What if we want to do more with the cards? What if we want to have an array of cards that we use to represent a hand of cards? What if we want to take all the cards and keep their sum and maybe do some things? And what if we want to generate, say, 5 random cards and take the 3 most valuable cards or something like that? That becomes a little trickier with the way we've designed this program. So we're going to need to write a separate card class, and we'll do that in the next video.